Darin, hey, congratulations on your new film, The Oath.
Thank you.
So tell us, what sparked the story, for yourself?
As you probably know, it's a 13-year journey, and I grew up reading these amazing stories from the source material, and I uh, I just was always really inspired with something about heroic figures that are able to maintain their honor in a very dishonorable time. That was very appealing to me. Like, wow, I want to be able to maintain my honor, in the face of great challenges or evil, if that's what we're fighting. So that it just inspired me, and I really want these stories to come out, because they're, I mean, if you've seen like the Marvel films, of course, like I think these stories are every bit as powerful, and I think more so, because they relate so directly to the times we're living in, I feel like. So yeah.
Now, I know, that this is based on one of the religious stories and here, and why did you want to adapt a story that, like, I want to say a lot of people aren't familiar with, because people, when a lot of times they like to adapt, the typical biblical stories like Noah's Ark or something like that everyone
Sure.
actually knows. But in this case, for the oath, I want to say a limited amount of population knows about it, or is this basically like you want to expand the horizon for more people to know about the story?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I think I'm aware, obviously, like, being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I'm aware that that's a smaller faction. I just know, whether it's me or someone else, I just know that whoever takes those stories and puts them out there, like in a legitimate production value kind of way, right? I've always felt that there's a much bigger audience for it, because it's not, in my opinion, even though it hails from a religious text. um, I don't think it's limited at all to religious people. And when you see the movie, um, the number one kind of feedback from people, especially people who are not of my faith, is like, I didn't feel like I was watching this heavy religious movie. That's not how you feel, and actually, it's not how you should feel and I think, I'm going to say good movie. I'm saying, well, my movie's a good movie. Of course, I think my movie's a good movie, but like, if you're in a good movie, you should be more enveloped in the story than you are about feeling like you're getting hit in the head with a message. The message should come after the story, and we really endeavored to do that with this movie. So I think, who should see it? Everyone should see it. It's I think the people that don't know anything about the religious text will be like, whoa, this is in there. You know what I mean? And I think the people that are going to be like, wow, this is cool. This is, I finally be able to see, somebody they've looked up to on the big screen in a big way. So,
So tell us about the message that you want to have audiences come across with after viewing your film.
well, I think the message is extremely timely. First of all, I think, if nothing else, they're it's almost inevitable that they will come away with this idea that, wow, oaths really used to mean something. Anciently, when someone made an oath, I mean, they would die before breaking that oath. And like today, we're like, oh yeah, I'll be there at 5, and like you're there at 6. It's like we make promises and break them so casually today, even in relationships. And I think our society really needs to get back to this idea that, when we make a promise, it means something to ourselves, to each other, to our God. And so that's definitely something they're going to take away from this. But more than that, they're going to see, like, this isn't your typical kind of battle. First of all, there's a love story too, but this isn't your typical kind of battle show, right? Where it's just this vindictive thing where people are fighting and there's tons of blood and all that stuff. The action is extremely and the choreography was so well done, and it looks fantastic. But the reasons that they're fighting is more important than the fight itself. And you're going to see a moment in this movie. I'm definitely not going to drop the spoiler here, but people are going to be, I think, shocked, because it's not really anything that I've seen in a movie, in a typical kind of war movie. You're going to see some redemption that takes place at some. It's surprising. So the focus is not on, hey, let's just go kill everybody. The focus is actually on peace and unity. And so that's what they're going to take away, I think, is the unity and peace, and antagonistic nations and peoples can come together in understanding. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's a message that our world really needs desperately right now.
When I actually watched it, I saw it as a much more of a romantic film, and
Yeah.
until the third act, of course, the battle sequences are quite impressive. Was that a difficult challenge for yourself because you directed it and starred in the film?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's challenging. It's super challenging. I mean, you've got to. I mean, I'm also, remember too, I've also written it, and so we're doing rewrites on stuff on set. I'm sometimes staying up until 3 a.m, right, doing rewrites, because I listen to my actors, and my actors, hey, I want to do this and this, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm doing that, and then you hire professionals. A very important very important hires your DP when you're the director as well as the actor. You really got to be able to look at your DP and say, did we get it? And there's also this this kind of supernatural, I think, thing that happens when you're acting and you've done it for a while. It's like you can channel, and you just know when you get it, like you just feel it. And then I'll just get like the, think I got it. He's like, oh yeah, we got it. I'm like, okay, good, because we shot this in 21 days, so we didn't have a ton of time to review everything, which as a director actor, sometimes it's kind of scary, right? So she's like, hey, we just got to go. So yeah, that was really challenging. The action was, thankfully, I mean, I was just in my zone. Like I've played football for 12 years. I'm extremely athletic. I've always been a guy in sports. And so I remember Manny Severio was like, you're picking this up really good. And I'm like, I'm having so much fun, because we only had a day to learn that choreography. And I had to learn it. Like all the other people that we hired for that scene, they're all stunt guys. We literally cast stunt guys, because I knew we didn't have time to have some actor who didn't know what they're doing. And so they're all pros, and I had to kind of step it up to the pro level. And it was super fun. It was super fun. I very much enjoyed the action, and I wish there was more of it, right? On the next film, there will be a lot more of it. But this is a very special film. You need to come first.
Most
So
excellent. Yes. And tell us about your cast members, Billy Zane and Karina Lombard. I mean, I had to do a couple takes, a couple looks myself. I was going, wow, they look a whole lot different in this film.
yeah, I hope, and I think that's one of the reasons why they took the roles, because most actors want to look different in every role. And so yeah, I mean, we gave Billy a look. So you forgive my language, but he's like, we put his hair thing on. He's all, oh hell yes. He's all F yeah. He really liked the look that we gave him, and so that's always encouraging. But yeah, Billy Zane, he's a powerful presence on film. Very good bad guy, as you know. And it was great to work with him. He kind of he just really, there's actors that when they're done with their take, they leave the set. And then there's actors who stay there and they give it to the other actor. He's one of those. And so it was real neat to work with him. And he was just very awesome to channel energy from. Karina Lombard, also a very, very strong presence on camera. That's one of the other feedback. We've shown this to like thousands of people on screen tests. And they're like, whoa, dude, who's that? She's wow, she just every time she's on the screen. So she does a fantastic job. We were very happy with Nora Dell's performance. Eugene Brave Rock, of course, the gentle giant. He always does a great job, and he just has such a great, I don't know. He's got an awesome look.
Wow. And I didn't read the passage myself. I have a little bit of understanding of the Lamanites and you know being indigenous Americans on this land long time ago and so on. But you have to tell me about the location scouting. New York. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
where you actually tell us about the woods, the waterfall. I mean, the setting is just beautiful.
Yeah, when you don't have like $100 million budget, you have to find locations that give you that money. And New York is one of those places, specifically where we filmed in the upper part of the state, Albany, very close to Albany. That was our anchor location, where that natural waterfall that flows. I think it's about like 3 months out of the year. It doesn't flow year round, so we just caught it at the perfect time. And boy, I got to tell you, it's like this natural just shower coming off this escarpment, and that was a miracle to get that location. We're the first film narrative that has ever gotten exclusive access to that, and that was a deep connection from one of our producers. So, I'm very grateful to God that we were able to get it, because man, it really made the show. That and the other locations, like you said, it's just, there's just so much beauty in that state. So absolutely, we went out, we location scouted every cave in the area, and we found some that were promising, but we just couldn't find anything. And then through a miracle, another one, like one of our line producers, we found this cave set that was built by Paramount years ago, multi-million-dollar cave set. And we were able to, we didn't buy it, we rented it, and then we were able to customize it to our show. And that was a miracle too, because a lot of the film takes place within a cave, which also can be challenging, because it's like, hey, we got to move up the scenery. But surprisingly, I think you don't watch it going, okay, we got to get out of the cave. We really, between the edit and everything else, it's anyway, everything kind of looks 100% legit. So
It does. It looks really really good, especially the props you're actually using, and including the document, turning the pages that you used it in that.
oh yeah, that was real. That was real metal, and to scale, based on the description of what they weighed and everything. That's like 40 pounds. They're heavy. So
It looked heavy, but but as I was mentioning before about the Lamanites, could you tell me more? I'm actually curious. I was actually Googling, who they are and all this kind of stuff. Like at the beginning of our conversation, most of us aren't familiar, of these passages.
yeah, so your question is, who are the lame? What's
Yeah,
exactly is your question?
who are they? In terms, because some people would watch something like this and they would be going, wait, how are there emerging of worlds?
Uh-huh.
And that's because a lot of us haven't read the book.
Right. And one of the things comes up in our just racially, what do you call it? Racially charged world that we're in, where it's just like, I mean, one thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're a racist. And the thing is, like, these people in the story, they actually come from the same family.
Mhm.
And so, like, the Nephites, Lamanites, they actually hail from the same family. They basically, as the tale goes, they came from Joseph of Egypt. Like, their line goes back to Joseph of Egypt. And so, um, that's the aspect that people miss when they just go, okay, we got brown people, white people. And the thing is, like, there was lots of mixing. So there's never this, well, white people are good, brown people are bad. That's not the case. And if you watch the film, you know that that's not the case. Anyone who says that is totally ignorant, and they have not seen the movie. The other thing, it's all about men. you haven't seen the movie. You know what I mean? There's a lot of comments that are floating around that people like to invent things, and it's not true. But yeah, so they hail from Joseph of Egypt. They're the same family. And so it's basically a story of the origin. The two brothers kind of disagreed on a patriarchal leadership, basically who's going to be king kind of thing. And one brother who was the younger brother, he took the records, and the other brother over here basically just carried a vendetta his whole life and taught his children to hate his brother's children, and so you have this just kind of like familial feud going on. And throughout the history, the 1,000+ year history of the Nephites and Lamanites in ancient America, which began in 600 BC and ended roughly 421-ish AD, throughout that history, there's just tons of mixing. At one point, it's the brown people who are righteous, and the white people are wicked, and then at the other point the brown people are wicked and the white people are righteous. So it's this constant kind of ebb and flow. I think just like in our world, it's like people are so obsessed with skin color, and that's not what it is. Like it's looking at the character and soul of a person, and that's what our film portrays. And so that's kind of where they hail from. We believe that the American Native Americans are descendants from this tribe that hails to Joseph of Egypt. So that's essentially the origin of where they came from. Originally came from the old world, from Jerusalem, originally in 600 BC. So that's kind of where that comes from. Yeah.
Well, most excellent. Well, Darin, let me wrap things up with one last question, because in the past few years, religious films have been highly profitable, and that's because there is a very, very strong audiences for it. Especially this past weekend, of course, The Shift is one of the religious forms is actually in theaters. Why do you suppose there is a huge pickup and a huge interest in these type of films with audiences today?
I think it's really indicative of where our world is at. And I think people want to return to principle. I think that people want to return to something higher, to something better, to a better world. Everyone talks about, well, how progressive we are, and the fact is, in many places the literacy rates are worse than they've been in 40 years. How is it possible that we're so advanced and so progressive, and yet we seem to be getting dumber? So I think that people are ready for it, and it is kind of a religious movement, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of irreligious people who are like, look, I just want to help a woman across the street. I want to help an elderly person get her groceries in the car. I want to open the door for a woman, or there's just a million ways that we can be better people and look outward instead of ourselves. And our entire society is right here. And so there's this celebrity culture in our society where it's all about the selfie. It's all about me. And what that's doing is it's turning us into ourselves instead of outward to each other. And that's why you have violence and hatred and abuse and you name it, right? The evils that are out there. That's why there's an uptick in crime. All of this stuff ultimately hails back to like the principles that we as a society are living. And so that is why there's this revival. And I love it, because I think there's a lot of religious films that are coming out like mine that are intended actually for people who are not religious. And that's really what needs to happen is we need to invite those people who maybe have a jettison or whatever toward religion or organized religion, and they say, yeah, I just want nothing to do with that, and show them like, look, every organization is imperfect, and the oath kind of teaches this in the message behind the story, that if you disassociate with everything that's imperfect, you will belong to nothing. And ultimately, we're here in this imperfect world with imperfect human beings, and at a certain point, we have to say, you know what? We all kind of need each other, because I got a problem here, you got a problem there. Maybe I can help here because that's my strength. Maybe you can help here because that's yours. And we come together, and as a society, And as a band of arrows, if you will, in the quiver, it's a lot stronger and harder to break when we're united and together. And that's what the oath, the message when you're done. And I hope people just sit in their seats and take it in when it's done and think about it. It's a very thought-provoking. I think I believe, and I've said this before, it is the most thought-provoking film you will see this Christmas season. And I really hope people will go give it a chance.
Most excellent, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on the limb that you're going to stick in this genre for quite some time.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. Make sure, your fans go to oathmovie.com to get tickets, oathmovie.com. You can watch the trailer and get tickets, and don't do me any favors. Watch the trailer. If it excites you, grab some tickets. So thank you for that kind compliment. Thank you.
Most excellent. Well, Darin, thank you very much for speaking to us about The Oath. It is a wonderful movie that after watching something like this, hopefully it instills, morality to the populace, because you're right. That's what the world needs now these days.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.